Some betrayals are loud, a slammed door, a confession, a scene. This one was silent. It lived on a screen she was never meant to see, and it had been running for almost 4 years. Renata was the one who organized things, not because anyone asked her to, because that was simply who she was, the person who remembered birthdays, who booked the table, who fronted the deposit on the beach house and quietly never collected everyone's share. She had a group of 6 friends. They had known each other since their late 20s. A decade of holidays, weddings, hospital waiting rooms, and group dinners that Renata, more often than not, organized and frequently paid for. She thought of them as her people, the ones who would show up. She was about to learn exactly how wrong she was. It happened by accident, the way these things almost always do. One of the group, Tessa, had left her phone on the kitchen counter at a dinner Renata was hosting. At her house, with food Renata had spent the afternoon making, the phone lit up, a group message, and the name of the chat visible on the lock screen was not a name Renata recognized. It was called Renata's Recovery Fund, with a laughing emoji. She was not in it. She told herself it was nothing, a joke. A misunderstanding, but the name sat in her chest like a stone for the rest of the night while she refilled glasses and laughed at stories and cleared plates her guests didn't offer to help with. After everyone left, she sat alone at her kitchen table, and she did something she is not proud of and does not regret. She had set up the family tablet years ago, the one Tessa sometimes borrowed, the one still logged into Tessa's account because nobody ever logs out of anything. The messages were all there, 4 years of them, a group chat with all 6 of her friends in it, everyone except her. She read for 3 hours. She read jokes about how much she talked, screenshots of her texts forwarded and mocked. A running tally, an actual tally of how much she'd spent on the group, framed not as gratitude but as something pathetic, proof that she was buying friends she couldn't otherwise keep. There were photos from a weekend trip she had been told was cancelled. It had not been cancelled, she had simply not been invited. She had paid the deposit on the house for the trip that happened without her. They just used a different house and let her believe the whole thing fell through. There was a thread, 40 messages long, about how to keep her useful but at a distance. That was the phrase, useful but at a distance. Renata did not cry that night. That came later in smaller amounts over weeks. That night she felt something colder and clearer than grief. She understood, sitting at the table she had set for people who despised her, that she had been the bank, the planner, and the punchline, and never once the friend. And she understood something else, something that mattered more. Every single thing that held this group together, every trip, every dinner, every reservation, every shared cost, every act of glue had come from her. She was not on the outside of the group. She was the foundation they had been standing on while they laughed about her. She did not confront them, she thought about it. The screenshots, the group email, the dramatic exit that would have felt so good for about an hour and changed nothing. She chose something quieter, something permanent. She decided to simply stop. It started small enough that no one noticed. The next group dinner, she didn't organize it. She waited. For the first time in 10 years, she waited to see if anyone else would. It took 11 days for someone to send a half-hearted, "Are we doing anything this month?" Into the main group chat, the one she was in, the polite one, the performance. Nobody volunteered to plan it. The conversation died. Renata said nothing. The annual trip came up, the one she always booked. She didn't book it. She watched in the group chat as they circled the idea, each waiting for someone else to take the deposit, to make the spreadsheet, to do the work that had been invisible because she had always done it. The trip did not happen that year. She felt, watching it fall apart, something she had not expected. Not triumph, just clarity. The quiet confirmation of exactly how much she had been carrying, made visible the moment she set it down. She stopped fronting money. She stopped reminding people of birthdays. She stopped being the one who checked in when someone went quiet. And one by one, the things she had held together came apart in her hands by virtue of her simply opening them. Two of them had a falling out within months, a conflict Renata in the old days would have mediated and smoothed over before it metastasized. She let it happen, it metastasized. The group, it turned out, had no center without her. They had mistaken the person they mocked for someone who needed them. The truth was the reverse, and the truth does not stay hidden once the scaffolding is removed. She did not vanish dramatically. That was the point. She remained perfectly polite. She replied to messages, eventually, briefly. She attended the occasional thing she was invited to and was warm and pleasant and gave them absolutely nothing further to use. But she never planned another thing, never fronted another dollar, never again volunteered to be the glue. And without the glue, they discovered they did not actually like each other very much. Tessa, the one whose phone started it all, reached out about 8 months in. A long message. Warm, nostalgic, concerned. She said the group felt different lately. That she missed how things used to be, that Renata seemed distant and she hoped everything was okay. Renata read it twice. She thought about all the things she could say, the screenshot of her own texts being mocked, the tally, the trip she paid for and was excluded from, the phrase useful but at a distance. She typed none of it. She wrote back, "I'm doing really well actually, just focusing my energy where it's appreciated these days. Take care, Tessa." Then she put the phone down and did not pick it back up. Here is the part that matters. Renata did not lose friends that year. You cannot lose what you never had. What she lost was an illusion, an expensive, exhausting illusion she had been personally funding for a decade. What she gained was harder to see at first. Time, money she stopped hemorrhaging into people who tallied it behind her back. And slowly, carefully, a few real relationships formed with the part of herself she had spent years giving away to people who only wanted the logistics and the deposits. She made 2 genuine friends within the year, people who planned things too. People who, when she fronted a cost, asked what they owed her before she finished the sentence. She had forgotten that friendship could go both directions. The group chat she wasn't in eventually went silent. She knows this because Tessa, in a final message Renata never answered, mentioned that everyone kind of drifted. That nobody really organizes anything anymore, that it's a shame how people grow apart. Renata did not respond. She understood what Tessa would never let herself understand. They had not grown apart. They had simply been left to stand on their own and discovered there was nothing underneath them. There never had been. There had only ever been her. She does not hate them. She used to think she would once she had the full picture. But hatred is a kind of attention, and she had decided to stop spending her attention on people who had only ever wanted her resources. She thinks of them now the way you think of a job you were underpaid at for years. A little disbelief that you stayed so long. A quiet gratitude that you finally left. That is the whole story. No confrontation. No exposed group chat, no dramatic reckoning where everyone learns their lesson. Just a woman who found out she was the punchline and quietly, completely stopped being available to be laughed at. The best revenge was not making them pay. It was letting them find out on their own exactly what she was worth by living for the first time in 10 years like she finally knew it herself. If this one landed, you know what to do. Subscribe. Leave your story in the comments. I read every single one. Until next time, stay patient, stay sharp, stay quiet.